science proceeds by what the philosopher Karl Popper called conjectures and refutations. So, you have an idea, you have a hypothesis, and then you see if you can refute it. And a theory is, I mean, a well-substantiated theory is always one that has yet to be refuted. So the more a theory has been attempted to be refuted and has yet to come through with flying colours, the more accepted it is. And after a point, de facto, it gets called a fact. After, I mean, the theory that the Earth goes round the Sun is only a theory. It's only a theory, but it's never been refuted, and we all know it never will be refuted. That's how science proceeds. It's conjecture and refutation. That's the state that evolution is in. I mean, it's a bit like the theory that the Earth goes around the Sun. It is only a theory, but to a scientist, that can mean, in this case does mean, that it's never been refuted. And the more it goes on from decade to decade to decade, and is not refuted, the more closely does it approximate to what everybody calls a fact.
I can promise you that she either did not understand that or understood it and is just going to keep on denying. Denial, it's not just a river in fucking Africa.
Then evolutionists should have no problem with there being questioning of it and
absolutely not. I mean,
challenging of it, and to be willing to teach the challenges to it, to be willing to talk about the evidence against it.
Just like Christians are so willing to have a science teacher or an evolutionist or an atheist come and talk to their Sunday school congregation, right? Just like they have atheists in church to talk about why there is no God or why it's stupid to believe in a God, right? And you should be supporting this. You know, you have to support the challenges, teach the challenges, teach the controversy, you fucking cunt.
And that's where I find the hardcore evolutionists have a bit of a problem. It's like an oak tree in a storm. Because it is so rigid, it's more likely to then fall and break. Whereas those that are more open to being challenged can then bend with the facts that come forward.
If the science behind evolution is like a rigid oak tree, then the science behind your religion and the bullshit you believe is like a flaccid fucking penis, okay? The fact that you think it's so great to be able to bend and sway and change all the time, because that's what you do. You know, the Bible talks about slavery, and slavery is no longer cool, so you just bend with it. You're like, oh, but that was back then, that's, not now, and, things were different back then, like foot baths were really cool back then, they're not so cool anymore, and you have to bend and sway, and that's how religion works.
So that's why what many of us in the United States are arguing for: teach the controversies in the schools, allow the information that shows the flaws in evolution to be taught. Don't blackball scientists who may not agree wholeheartedly with the hardcore version of evolution to be blackballed out of the profession. Allow people to have enough respect for people to allow them to have all the information so they can make up their own minds.
All right, for the fucking 50th time, this is not an issue of people making up their own minds. That's not how science works. Science isn't like, well, the majority of people believe this, so this is true, or something shit like that. Science cannot bend, or it can teach what it knows. And if there are challenges, the challenges aren't given to fucking laymen or high school science students. They're fucking given directly to the scientists to test against their fucking theory. That's what you do. When a theory is challenged like that, you fucking directly challenge the theory. You don't just say the shit to a bunch of people and hope that raises enough doubt that they can then discredit the entire fucking thing and all of science with it. You fucking bitch. You just fucking retarded. Here, let Dawkins do it. He does it so much more nicely than I do.
Difficult question, this thing about blackballing. I mean, it's a nasty idea to blackball, of course. I mean, what about somebody who's teaching geography, who believes in the flat Earth? I mean, would you blackball them?
Well, always extreme cases are used. That's that's not what we're facing here in the United States. What we're facing are scientists who may not agree wholeheartedly with the hardcore view of evolution, who do believe in intelligent design. They're being denied their careers.
Well,
they're being denied. So it's better to argue from the facts of what's happening rather than some hypothetical.
The motherfucking queen of hypotheticals says it's better to argue about the facts, not the hypotheticals. Fuck you, you fucking dumb, golden retriever looking, dim-witted bitch.
Okay, let's take intelligent design. I mean, the leading intelligent design proponents in this country believe in evolution. They believe that we're cousins of chimpanzees, we're cousins of kangaroos, etc. But what they don't believe is that God is completely absent from the process. So they believe in evolution, but they believe that God, as it were, helped evolution over the difficult jumps. There are some things that they call irreducibly complex, which, and scientists dispute that they're irreducibly complex, but the point is they do believe in evolution. They do believe that we're descended from reptiles, for example.
Well,
it's just that they think that God helped over certain of the difficult stages.
So it would be wonderful to interview them and let them speak for themselves, present their information and their evidence.
Yes.
And to show that there are a variety of views. And that's why the hardcore evolutionists should not have a monopoly on what is allowed to be discussed or researched in science.
What would you have them do? Give out research grants to people who are like, I'm going to prove the pink unicorn exists underneath at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and I need, you know, $50 billion in order to fucking research it and prove it correct. You fucking dummy. They shouldn't have a monopoly on teaching facts, things that we know. Oh, that they should be able to, everyone should just be able to put in their 2 cents about fucking, well, I think a princess kissed a frog, and that's how we all got here.
Would you accept, well, nobody's going to make any restriction on what you're allowed to research, of course.
Well, that's done, of course, through funding, through grants, through positions at universities. There are ways to restrict what can and can't be researched.
I mean, funding of scientific research is always a problem, and all scientists have a time when they grumble about not getting funding. I mean, you do have to, you're competing in a marketplace, and the NSF and other grant-giving bodies have to give money where peer review suggests it's going to be most useful. I mean, that is definitely a problem, of course. Would you accept that what you call teaching the controversy should be done in classes of religion or classes of history of ideas, rather than classes of science?
Teaching the controversy refers to teaching the evidence and the facts that dispute evolution. So it should be taught in the science classes because it's teaching evidence.
Keep in mind, this is the same bitch that says that there is no evidence of transitional fossils. And she's gonna fucking build up the little nerve she's got to sit there and say that they should teach the controversy because that's teaching evidence. She wants to ignore actual scientific evidence and relabel evidence as just the stuff that I want to be taught. That's what evidence is. That's what proof is. Fuck you, bitch. Wendy Wright, you blonde dummy. Fuck you.
Yes, I mean, when I asked you about evidence, you said there are no fossil intermediates, and when I told you about fossil intermediates, you changed the subject. I mean,
no, when I don't change the subject, what I say is that if there were, if there had been evolution from slime to human beings, that there'd be a massive amount of evolution. If there was evidence of going from slime to human beings, there'd be a massive amount of evidence showing interspecies, from one macro species to another. And that's where I find the concept of evolution lacking.
Wendy Wright thinks that evolution is lacking because she hasn't seen any dogs turn into cats lately. She hasn't seen a crocodile give birth to a duck. She's fucking so mind-numbingly stupid. God, I don't know if I can make it to the end of this.
And so the burden really is on the evolutionists. Oftentimes it's been thrown back at us that we just need to look at the information. But let me throw it back on you all to say, look, this is what's needed to convince us. So you need to come up with a large amount of evidence to back up this claim that there's been a large progression of macroevolution throughout the years.
yes.
No, what we need to do is ignore morons like you. What we need to do is realize that fucktards like you will never fucking get it. It's been explained to you over and over. The evidence has been shown to you, and you literally do like one of these. You don't want to fucking deal with it. There's no point in fucking trying to convince you when you are too stupid and in too much of denial to ever accept the goddamn fucking evidence in the fucking first place. So you go with this, teach the controversy, and you try and tell us that we ignore evidence, but it's your job to supply the evidence for us to ignore. Fucking
How are we going to make you look at it, though? Because, I mean, I've told
well,
you...
no, we look at it. We look at it. Again, when I go back to... it's easy to blame the other person, to blame by saying that we're ignorant. But what I'm saying to you is, if there were enough evidence, it would convince even, it will convince those who are open to the information.
It will convince those who are willing to look at the information, otherwise known as not this bitch.
There's such a vast number of people in the United States and elsewhere who do believe in an intelligent design, that there's a creator. If there was a vast amount of evidence, solid evidence to back up evolution, that would influence a significant number of the vast number of people who believe in intelligent design.
That sends me close to despair, because the evidence is there. I mean, I keep telling you about it. No, just let me tell you some of it. There is evidence of, for example, the transition from fish coming out of the water onto the land. It's beautiful evidence. It's elegant. I mean, they're lovely fossils. Go to Philadelphia and have a look at the wonderful fossil they've got there. I'm sure they have replicas in the Smithsonian here. Just look at that evidence. It's beautiful. The evidence for the transition between the reptilian jaw and the mammalian jaw. The reptilian jaw has several bones. The mammalian lower jaw has only one bone. And the other bones that were in the reptile have now moved into the inner ear. It's a beautiful transition.
We're ignorant.
Oh, we know.
What is your cause in life? I would think that if your cause was to convince others that evolution is correct, not just a theory, but a fact, then you'd be devoting yourself to finding this information and making it readily available. What I find is that you're spending a lot of time arguing with me, trying to convince me, instead of showing the evidence, or spending your time producing evidence.
He's already given you evidence. You have fucking readily ignored it. And then you turn around and say, where's the evidence? And you're like, I'm like, where's the beer? And you're like, you just drank some. And I'm like, where's the beer?
Was I not just telling you about fish that are intermediate between the sea?
But again, what I go back to is, if there was a large enough amount of evidence, which there should be, if we have gone from slime to human beings, there should be an overwhelming amount of evidence, not these isolated cases that could be interpreted differently.
But if God created the earth and the universe, there shouldn't be any evidence at all. In fact, there should be evidence to the contrary. Fucking super genius, this Wendy Wright, I'm telling you.
And, see, one problem that evolutionists have is that in the past, when there's been great acclaim of a discovery to show from one species to another, it's been proven to be fraudulent.
She asks for like a vast amount of evidence, and when it's handed to her, she literally handpicks like the fucking 3 fucking fraudulent cases of proof of and evidence of evolution. She handpicks those, and she's like, and see, they're all like that. Talk about someone who doesn't actually have any fucking facts to back what they are saying up. She's got 3 little instances, and it wasn't creationists who found out that they were fucking fraudulent in the fucking first place. It was fucking scientists, you fucking cunt.
So evolutionists have a problem in their own history. The fact that there have been so many cases of fraud or misinterpretation of information.
Unlike religion, which has never had a single case of fraud or a single fucking misinterpretation.